Welcome back to another Doctor Who product review. Today I'm going to be doing something that is in fact slightly different for this channel and taking a look at my first Robert Harrop Limited Edition collector figure. There is the Special Weapons Dalek that is limited edition to 250 and had just been released on the Robert Harrop website. So if you like what you see in this review, then I definitely recommend buying it quick because this line is highly collectible, and once these figures are out of stock, they do normally tend to remain out of stock for good. So it is a highly collectible line, of one of which it sells out quite quickly. And to be quite honest, from what I've seen on the production promotional images for this figure, I don't exactly blame people for buying it because it looks absolutely stunning. This product is currently available now from the Robert Harrop website for £95 and is made out of ceramic sculpted resin. Taking a look at the actual packaging itself, it is in fact rather stylish yet sort of simplistic at the same time. So as you can see at the very top, you get the Doctor Who logo and then your sort of standard diamond design along with the star field in the corner there. And then of course at the very bottom we get Harrop Doctor Who Limited Edition figurine, and then along with hand painted at the very bottom. And then the sides of the box, we don't really get too much going on. We just get the Doctor Who logo nicely printed again on the dark blue backdrop, and then exactly the same for the opposite side as well. And then on the back of the box, once again, we get the Doctor Who logo along with some company information at the very bottom. The front of the box, we do get a sticker that reads Who 26, because this is the 26th figure to be released in this line, along with the title of the set that is Special Weapons Dalek from Remembrance of the Daleks Limited Edition to 250, and this is of course from the 7th Doctor era that ran between 1987 to 1996. And on the top of the box, we do get the unique sticker for this release, so once again we get the same information printed again. However, this time round, we get the limited edition number for this figure, mine of which being 104 out of 250. So that's really it for the presentation box of this figure. Generally it looks very professional and rather simplistic at the same time, and as it is made out of high quality cardboard as well as the actual delivery box that this normally comes in, it is really nicely protected, and definitely the figure on the inside will be nice and safe. So taking a look on the inside of the box now, as you can see, we get a massive pile of bubble wrap. How exciting. You literally have enough bubble wrap here to recreate that monster from the Ark in space. So as you can see, this is in fact a slightly different figure to start on, because normally I do believe that these come in sort of polystyrene cases. However, due to this being a Dalek, it has been done slightly differently because this one is split into two pieces. So as you can see, we have the bottom here. Ow, I just put my hand on that spike, that hurt. And then we also have the top here that just sits on the top. It doesn't really take too much to work out because it is only two pieces. It's not really too much constructing involved, but as you can see, absolutely loads of protection, ensuring that the product on the inside is safe. However, just before we get onto the actual figure itself, we all know how much I love a good certificate of authenticity. So as you can see, here we have one for this figure. So we have the Doctor Who logo certificate of authenticity at the top, along with a rather nice diamond design, an image of the Special Weapons Dalek from Remembrance of the Daleks, certified by Robert Harrop. And then on the back, we get a rather nice quote, I do believe said by Davros, so that we get a little bit of information about the Special Weapons Dalek, along with a little bit of information about Robert Harrop at the bottom. And I do like the way that this has been hand numbered as well. Kind of makes it feel a little bit sort of unique and kind of a little bit more personalised. As this is sort of a hand-painted figure, you do sort of tend to expect that. So yeah, that is very nice, and you can pop that alongside your figure rather well. You all probably know I've been collecting Doctor Who merchandise now for many, many years, and over that time I've in fact collected lots of different variations of Daleks. So you do tend to think after a while, once you've picked up one Dalek, they're kind of all the same, just different colours. However, every so often you get one certain special Dalek that enters your collection that in fact completely blows the others out of the water, and this is in fact one of those releases, because I'm highly impressed by this one. As soon as I actually picked this up from the box, I was incredibly impressed, because you can just tell immediately, even compared to the other Special Weapons Daleks that have been released so far, this one has something about it. The proportions look correct, and the actual paint application is incredibly impressive, and it actually looks like the one from the TV show itself. The weathering is not too much, just the right mix of sort of new and blemished at the same time, creating this really nice weathered and battered effect, almost like it has been through a few wars. And if you actually know this channel, you will of course know that I absolutely love the Imperial Daleks. They are probably my favourite design of Dalek throughout Doctor Who, so this is in fact a really good Dalek to start on for this collection. The very base of the figure, what is really nice to see is we have a little bit of a surface at the bottom of the Dalek, which is something that I never normally really comment on, but due to this being a statue, it's kind of nice just to have something for this Dalek to sit on, so it's just not the plain base. It makes it a little bit more exciting, and this is one of which that Robert Harrop tend to go for quite a lot. It's kind of just your standard concrete floor, but it is in fact really nice for the certain context of this Dalek, because of one of the most iconic Special Weapons Dalek scenes is in fact the one where it's sort of trundling along the street that just so happens to have a rather cobbled looking looking floor, so it kind of fits this Dalek really nicely. It actually kind of looks like it's hovering against the floor, as you can see here. I have a little bit of shading going around the side there to really sort of create a little bit of depth. And what is really nice to see is we also have the individual weathering between all the different concrete slabs as well, along with the different sort of stone structures going around the side, sort of the pebbles and things here and there, almost like it's been going along the floor and has kind of torn up some of the pavement as it sort of trundles along. But it has got some really nice blemishes along the side here. Almost sort of looks like it's burning the floor as it kind of rolls along. But yeah, that is a really nice design and something which it makes this figure stand out a little bit more. At the very back, we get a little bit of company information. As you can see, we get BBC nicely printed there. It's kind of on this little sort of bean thing. Don't particularly know what that is. I think it's just a copyright thing that has to be there. And then, of course, on the very bottom, which we do have a few little sort of minor dust marks on there, we in fact have this rather nice velvety base there to in fact stop it moving on any surface, which is really nice and makes it rather secure. And then we just have a replica of the sticker that is on the top of the box, which once again reads Doctor Who Special Weapons Dalek, along with the unique number for this release, which mine is of course 104, as I say, out of 250. However, due to this being on the surface of the figure, it does in fact seem to have rubbed off a little bit, which I think that was like that when it initially arrived. So it would be nice to see if that was a bit more readable, but hey, I don't particularly mind too much since it says it on the box anyway. You kind of expect it to come off occasionally. Taking a look at the lower skirt piece of the Special Weapons Dalek, now this is where the major impressive paint apps start to kick in, because you can tell that this is a statue that has been hand painted, and it is definitely of that higher market, because I'm currently comparing this statue to the Character Options 5-inch Dalek and the Figurine Collection Dalek just off camera, and you can tell the difference between this weathering on this figure that looks incredibly natural. It looks sort of almost scorched to an extent, and then comparing that to the actual action figure version by Character Options or even the Figurine Collection one, you can see that that has been manufactured. You can see that it's been fake, and you can almost see a little bit of a difference between the actual base colour of the figure being sort of almost that tanned cream colour, and then kind of the way the weathering has simply been sort of painted above the top of that. With this figure, you get a bit of a difference with that, because you get the cream at the very bottom. However, sort of the weathering marks and the scorch marks have been really nicely blended in between sort of the different hemispheres that we have. We just almost have that stippled effect, that burnt effect, and sort of different gradients between, as you can see at the very bottom here, we almost get a darker section, and then around the sides there we get a slightly sort of faded section where sort of the dust and sort of the burn marks would almost not really collect as much. And I think that it does look incredibly authentic, much like the actual prop from the TV show itself. It's very impressive, and probably is the best paint apps that I've seen on a Special Weapons Dalek ever. Taking a look at the base of the actual Dalek itself, it is pretty much your standard Dalek base really, or it is divided into two sections, a smaller piece at the very bottom and then a slightly larger section at the very top. This almost looks like a new series Dalek. It looks once again very battered, sort of very bronze armoured kind of. We have this really nice brush stroke at the very bottom there, kind of creating this lighter bronze effect, as you can see there, just bringing it into the light almost. We get almost that little bit of reflection in there along sort of this dirty effect applied over the top, once again really creating this nice authentic weathering design. Once again, a little bit more prominent on the back. What is really nice to see is this is unpredictable. As you can see on some sections here, it is sort of incredibly dark and incredibly black. And then on this back section here, almost get sort of this bronze design shining through there, making it look very much like how the prop does in the actual TV show itself. And then moving up to the actual skirt piece, as I say, a really nice blend, because once again we have that bronze design almost returning, kind of creating that rather blemished effect, once again making it look very battered. And then we have on top of this the cream design, which looks very nice. The negative that I actually have with this section of the Dalek is I feel that it kind of needs some cuts in it or something like that, or kind of a few scrapes around the side to make it look battered and torn, and sort of like it's been actually damaged and kind of got a few dents in it. However, the actual prop from the TV show itself doesn't seem to have that, so that isn't really a fault of the figure. It's just an actual sort of fault with the prop itself. But I do think that that would have kind of made sense to have a few dents and things in there on the actual TV show prop, because otherwise we've just got this rather sort of damaged and sort of worn design on there on a rather newish looking sculpt. However, it still looks absolutely stunning. Taking a look at the middle armoured section of the Special Weapons Dalek. Now, this is what makes this design so unique, because no other Dalek in the 50 plus years of Doctor Who has ever really looked like this. We have that metal design almost making it look very much like a tank. The way that we have the bolts all around the sides and the different rivets almost makes it look like a 2005 Dalek, and this wouldn't really look out of place within the actual new series itself. I think that generally the design is incredibly unique and also incredibly powerful looking at the same time. It has been really nicely and faithfully recreated from the prop as seen in the TV show itself. So this different different range of sections of different panels. As you can see, you get this side panel here with the different bolts along the side, along this rather small rectangular piece, then this even smaller section towards the side there, and then the whole of sort of this upper section has been sort of littered with this almost sort of bolted design, making it look incredibly strong, almost like it has been welded together, and this on top of that has been coated in rather, once again, a battered sort of bronzish design there, making it look like almost dust and sort of soot is almost collected on the sides, making it look like it's almost been burnt or been within a fire, which is really nice and impressive. And once again, a similar thing with the base. As you can see, as I tilt this up to the light, we get this almost shimmer of sort of bronze and gold along the sides there, making it look once again very much like a metal. So even though this is all one sort of resin material, this looks sort of a little bit more like a metal piece as opposed to, say, this piece here. So that is really nice, and once again makes it look quite authentic to this. Of course, this section of the Dalek is also responsible for one of its main special features, which is one of which that is rather unusual for the statue format. I do believe that this is like the first ever time it has been used on a Robert Harrop Doctor Who figure, and it is that the turret can actually move. As you can see, due to this being two separate pieces with the pole in the middle, this means it can very easily turn on the circle, as you can see there, making it look like it actually can move, much like how it did within the TV show itself. It's very minimal, it is literally just a 360 spin, however, this really does aid posability, as you can see, just moving it back there, make it just like it's aiming at some renegade Daleks or something like that, sort of blasting its energy absolutely everywhere. I think that if you actually did some photography with this, you could probably mistake this for the actual life-size prop. I think that especially on certain angles. Another example of where the hand-painted technique has really come and shined through, as you can see, is on this upper cream section here, just giving it a little bit of a rotation. As you can see, we get this rather unpredictable design once again of the different sort of scuff marks here and there, really nicely balanced out on that cream section, which is a massive improvement compared to that of, say, the toy versions released by Character Options. Even by the sides here, as you can see, we get the individual bolts nicely painted, a few of which actually have some silver paint apps been applied to the top of these as well. Not all of them, though, mind, because the actual one in the TV show didn't have all those paint apps on either, so once again, rather accurate. Even with the flaws from the actual TV show props, that is very nice and very impressive as well. And taking a look at this Dalek's one big special weapon, that is, of course, this big massive blaster gun at the very front. So as you can see, this looks lethal, to be quite honest. I think that once again, this looks incredibly sort of powerful, and we have these different designs here of almost spikes, and then these ridges as well with the different barrel sections here and there. At the very tip, we just have this rather nice engraved section which goes down a little bit to give it sort of the representation of a cannon. However, we do also have a few sort of lighter brush strokes in there as well, with a little bit of a silvery design, which is something of which that all of the other special weapons Daleks seem to lack in a little bit. I think that they do have sort of weathering on here, however, it doesn't really stand out too much. However, this Dalek, once again, is a really nice blend between the two. So as you can see, we get this rather nice section at the very bottom here as well, which almost has that rotation piece along the different turret sections in there, sort of making it look like it has been physically welded into the actual Dalek itself. Unfortunately, this doesn't move at all, unlike the actual toy version. However, this isn't a toy anyway, it is a statue, and to be quite honest, I wouldn't have even been surprised if this bit didn't move at all either. I didn't really expect it to. However, when I found out that it was actually going to rotate, I was incredibly excited by that. So yeah, it is a nice feature, and I do understand why this doesn't move. Taking a look at the rather unique dome section of this Dalek, because it doesn't really have the eyepiece. I did always wonder as a kid how this Dalek actually sort of looked at, and I imagined it was sort of through these little view hole type things here. It is a rather unusual, and once again, rather tank-like looking design that kind of looks a little bit like a manhole or a drain cover or something like that. So once again, exactly the same design around the bronze sections, making it look rather metally, so we have the different shaded sections on there, along once again the different turrets and bolts around the side, and then of course on the very top, in fact, just sliding that out and taking it off the top there to actually give a closer look at the dome. Once again, we get this rather nice sort of weathered section, making it almost look like the surface of the moon, kind of, where it has almost that blemished effect there with the different holes and things, making it look like a rather nice ceramic, much like the actual product itself. The middle section of the dome has also been really nicely recreated as well, and really well painted. Once again, the hand-painted design has really nicely came and shined through with this section of the figure, where none of this, in fact, has any paint leaks whatsoever. I can't, in fact, find any paint errors with this. I think that that probably is a first for this channel, because even some of the other high collector's end products that I've reviewed have had paint flaws here and there. However, this product literally has absolutely zero paint issues whatsoever, so that is probably a first for this channel, of one of which that I'm highly happy to say. Doing a comparison to some of the other special weapons Daleks in my collection, I find it kind of sad, because I feel like through the entirety of this review I've basically slagged off this Dalek and how unauthentic the weathering looks. However, believe it or not, I absolutely love this design. I think it is in fact one of my favourite 5" 12-inch figures in my collection. I think that Character Options did an absolutely brilliant job on that figure, and I think that the weathering for the actual price range of that set is in fact rather impressive. Less said about the figurine collection though, however, because I think that this one just lacks in weathering and lacks in the overall sort of war-torn feel. However, I still think for the scale, it is rather nice. I think as a special weapons Dalek, it does look rather impressive. However, both of them have been absolutely knocked out of the park with how impressive the Robert Harrop one is. You can just tell with the different changes in quality. I think you can also tell the way this figure has been uniquely hand-painted as well. I think that with specific products like this, especially giving that weathered-looking effect, making it almost look scorched and battered, I think that has really made this figure stand out, especially maybe compared to other Daleks that may look less impressive because it doesn't have that more unique design. However, this one I think is just generally in scale, it's in proportion, and it looks strong, because an issue that I have with the other two is they just look proportionally a little bit incorrect. I think that especially on this figure here, the top half looks a little bit unusual. I think that the bottom half is fine, however this looks incredibly stumpy. I think especially this barrel section at the very top looks incredibly small, and it should be just a little bit taller. The same goes for this one. It looks incredibly sort of compact and more solid than it should be. However, with this design, it feels incredibly within proportion. I feel that this section is a little bit taller, it's a little bit bolder as well, sort of this panel going along the side here. It feels incredibly thicker and incredibly stronger, more so than this version, meaning that generally overall it creates a much more impressive looking figure, and I think that when compared to the paint apps as well, doubles up as pretty much the definitive special weapons Dalek, and probably by far the best in my collection. So overall, for the Doctor Who Robert Harrop Limited Edition Special Weapons Dalek from Remembrance of the Daleks hand-painted figurine, this is absolutely incredible, to be quite honest. I think that this is a perfect example of something that has the brilliant combination of an absolutely stunning sculpted design, and then on top of that has been accompanied and partnered with an absolutely brilliant and impressive paint application. I think that the fact that this is hand-painted really does make this figure stand out. I think that the way that this actually complements each part, I think that the base is really nice and prominent. I think the way that all the bolts and rivets actually sort of come out of the sculpt and actually have different raised sections in there make it very much like the actual prop itself. I think that very easily you could do some photography with this and, as I say, make it look like the actual prop from the TV show itself. And the actual material that it's from, I do believe that this is a form of ceramic resin, meaning that when you actually hold this, it feels like quality. It has an absolutely brilliant weight to it, as when you actually pick it up, it does feel like a proper quality piece to add to the collection. And the fact that it can do this as well is incredibly fun. I know that I've been doing this now for a good few hours, and it still doesn't get old. It does add just a little bit of posability to this, even though it didn't really need to have the rotating turret. I think that it's something that very much it could have easily done without. However, it's an absolutely brilliant feature, and I'd love to maybe see if they do other Daleks in the future, maybe have rotating domes or something like that, or maybe the rotating weapon section. I don't know, whatever they would decide to do, but I think that this is absolutely stunning. However, it does of course come with a price. This is recommended retail at £95, and it is limited edition to 250. This is definitely strictly for those more collectors. I think that if you're a fan of Remembrance of the Daleks and you're either older fan or very much take care of your Doctor Who products, then this is something that I recommend. However, I do not recommend for the younger audience. I think it's somewhere that you need to store it nice and safely. It's something that needs a lot of care given to it. So yeah, if you're somebody that is an experienced Doctor Who collector, then this is something definitely to add to the collection. I think it is just lovely to have something that is actually hand painted and limited to a very strict amount as well, and to actually see a product in this day and age that is actually, once it's sold out, it is gone for good. It just adds a rather nice sort of niche sort of community to these line of figures, and very much something that I may look into but reviewing more of in the future. That's that for this rather impressive release. If you have any questions about this product, then please do leave them in the comments below, and I will reply to them at some point in the near future. And I'll also leave in the description the link to buy this from the Robert Harrop website. Thanks for watching this review, and I shall see you all in another Doctor Who video at some point in the near future. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye for now.